understanding GitLab CI/CD, let's quickly see what exactly is CI/CD. Let's say you have a developer who performs a code commit on one of the feature branch. A pull request is then being created for the code merge. Once it is approved, the code is merged to the deployment branch, which triggers the build creation using tools such as Maven, Gradle, npm. Once the build is created, it triggers the test cases using tools such as Selenium, JUnit, and the test cases gets uploaded to the required tool. Then it triggers a security vulnerability checks along with the static code analysis using tools such as BlackDuck, SonarQube. Then the builds get uploaded to a build repository such as Sonatype Nexus, JFrog Artifactory. This completes the process of continuous integration, and to integrate this together, we have tools such as Jenkins, AWS Code Pipeline, GitLab CI. Then as part of deployment, it triggers the deployment to the dev server. Once the sanity is passed, the deployment gets triggered for the UAT server. Once it is reviewed and the sanity gets passed, then the prod deployment gets triggered, and once that is passed, this complete process is completed, which is called continuous deployment or delivery, and it can be done with the tools like Ansible, Helm, AWS Code Pipeline. The difference between continuous deployment and delivery is continuous deployment needs a manual trigger before the prod deployment, while continuous delivery is an automated part of the deployment lifecycle. It is followed by continuous feedback and monitoring at all the stages: build, test, scan, upload, dev deployment, UAT deployment, and prod deployment. This completes one release cycle, but this is a never-ending and a continuous process. In this section, we're gonna see a quick introduction of GitLab CI/CD, what exactly it is. So I'll go to gitlab.com where I have already created an account. And then over here, I can see I have 3 different projects created. So I'll go to this one. The project name is CI/CD as it says. And then this is the root page. This is the main page of the project where I can see the overview of my project with all the source code that I have. Currently, I only have uploaded one file, which is shown over here. And then it also has a repository section over here where we could see all the files, commits, branches, tags, basically all the our source code versioning maintained over here. Then we have issues over here, which is like a Jira board. Then we can see merge requests, so all the pull request or merge request, whatever you want to call it, it will be visible over here. All the closed ones, all the open requests, conflicts, resolve, everything would be here. Then we have CI/CD where our CI and CD pipelines will decide. So we have different options. We could see a pipeline editor, or we could use the sample templates that have already been created by GitLab. And then we also have some jobs, schedules, and test cases for running the test cases. Jobs and schedules are part of pipelines itself. So I'll walk you through when we are there. Then we have packages and registries over here. So this is basically a build repository for your packages like JFrog Artifactory or Sonatype Nexus. So here you could upload your packages in different formats, or you could upload your container images as well if you are running a Kubernetes based application or a Docker based application. Then we have a wiki over here, which is similar to what we have in Confluence. So this complete CI/CD platform provided by GitLab is a complete suite that have all the applications needed to perform your continuous integration and continuous deployment and delivery. It has everything in one place. So you don't have to worry about integrating different tools with each other and to establish communication between them. So all the pain is no longer there. All the important settings related to CI/CD project within GitLab would reside over here. If you hover your mouse to settings tab, you'll see different options. So you click on CI/CD, and so there are like a lot of settings over here, but we'll be looking into few of them in detail in the next upcoming sections. And so for example, this one runners over here, if you click on expand, it will show you different options for runner. So we'll see what a runner is, how to install it, how to use it, and how to manage it. Then we have artifacts. So this is basically just a checkbox which says keep your recent artifacts from successful jobs, yes or no. Then we have variables. So you could add protected variables like some secret keys and some mask variables as well. You could just simply click on add variable and provide the key value pair that can be used inside a pipeline. Then we have pipeline triggers, which are like webhooks or the API calls which would trigger the pipeline. Then we have automatic deployment rollbacks. If we says if the build is getting failed or if it's not successful, then roll back to the recent stage. So we'll just keep it default for now. So for our next topic, let's go ahead and create a very basic pipeline in a sample project. So I'll click on new project over here. And then I'll choose this one, create blank repository and project. I'll give this a name, let's say my first project. And I'll keep this as private. Click on create project. This will create a sample project for me without any files in it. So I just have to set up, I just have to show you the basic, how a basic CI pipeline looks like in GitLab and what are the important points to remember in that. So for that, I'll go over here, CI CD, and click on editor. And then it'll open a basic pipeline for me once I click create new CI CD pipeline. So it has generated a YAML for me with few stages and few jobs. So every project in GitLab can have a maximum of one gitlab-ci.yaml file. This is basically your pipeline as a code and all the instructions of your CI CD written and this in the YAML format. Right. So whenever you upload your pipeline code to the project, the GitLab detects there has been a pipeline uploaded to the project. So it will trigger the pipeline execution for you. You don't have to manually trigger it. This is how CI/CD works. And once the pipeline is uploaded to your project and any changes in the particular branch or repository or as per the condition specified in the YAML, it will start executing your pipeline. Okay. So with that being said, let's see what does it have. So it has see 3 different stages. A typical CI/CD pipeline will have these 3 stages: build, test, and deploy. So every stage will have one or more jobs. So let's say the first stage is build. It has a build job, okay, and has a script. Script will have your task written in the preferred choice of your language. Then the next stage is test, which has unit test job and lint test job. So this test stage has 2 different jobs. Then we have a deploy stage which has a deploy test job. Okay. So if this is too much for you, don't worry about it. We have different options to make it more clear to you. So if you click over here, visualize, this will show you what I'm talking about. So build stage will have build job, test stage will have these 2 jobs, deploy stage will have deploy jobs. Okay. So it would have made more sense to you now that you have seen it visually. Okay. The other important thing to remember about jobs and stages is all the jobs inside one single stage will be executed parallelly. Okay. So let's say the pipeline gets triggered. First, it will trigger the build stage. It starts with the first job, which is build job. Then it will trigger the next stage, which is test stage. In that test stage, it will trigger these 2 jobs in parallel. Then it will go and trigger deploy stage. And this stage, it will trigger deploy job. So I'm just gonna click commit changes over here. And as soon as I commit the changes, it triggered the pipeline. It says checking pipeline status, and it's checking the agents in the background. So it says pipeline this ID is running for this particular commit ID. Okay, so we can check the pipeline status from here. If we open this as new tab, or we could just go from the pipeline tab over here. Let's open this in a new tab, and this is all the information that we have. Status is running. This is the pipeline, a unique ID generated by the pipeline. triggered. It was triggered by myself by a git commit. It was triggered on the main branch as we only have one branch, and this was the commit ID which triggers this job. And then this was the comment which was like auto generated, and these are the stages. So first stage is running, it's been passed now, and then second stage is running now, which is test. Third stage is deploy. Duration is in progress, and you can cancel the build from here as well. So if we click over here and at the running, we'll see the visual representation of the real-time pipeline status. So we see the build has been passed, and all the two jobs inside the test stage are running in parallel. That's why you see two timers over here, and it will be completed soon. So let's click on this job which has been completed, and you'll see all the logs over here. So it says running on GitLab runner. So we'll discuss GitLab runner in detail in the next few sections. So it did all those things that we have written inside the YAML code. It basically had some echo statements, and then it says job succeeded. If we go back, let's go back to the pipeline again, CI/CD and then pipeline. Okay, I'll click on this one. Okay, so the first job has been completed. If we go to the second stage, it has two different jobs. So if we click any one of them, again, it will show the same thing. It will show all the logs that have been generated with that particular job. And it says job succeeded at the end, and the status is passed. Same way, the second job must have been triggered. Okay. So it says now that all the stages are completed, it says the status is passed. So this is the status of overall pipeline. It took 18 seconds from start to completion. No, it was triggered 20 seconds ago, but it took around 2 minutes from start to the completion. Okay, and we see all the stages have been there. Has been a green tick in each of the job. If it would have been a failure in any of the job, it would have shown you a red cross in place of these one. Okay, so I hope this would have made more sense now that you have seen it visually. So this was just a test pipeline. We haven't created any any complex script inside those stages. It's not even a real world pipeline, but it was just to give you an overview of what we'll be dealing with next. So in next section, we'll be seeing how we can create a project, a sample pipeline with a sample code, and we'll deploy that code in one of the servers after building and testing it. All right, so let's jump into the next topic now, which is GitLab runner. So let's quickly see what's a GitLab runner and how many types of runner are there. So GitLab runner is an application that runs job in a pipeline. It can be installed on your cloud offerings or an on-prem infrastructure. Can be installed on many different operating systems. You can also run it in a shell, a Docker container, or a Kubernetes cluster. So what exactly the process is? So DevOps person registers that agent with a token, and then it establishes a trust relationship between a GitLab instance and a communication channels will be open. Let's see how many types of runner are there. So first is a private runner, which is like a self-hosted agent and can be installed on your own data center or your cloud services. The next one is a shared runner, which uses the runner from the available pool of runners from GitLab based on the tags. The next one is the group runner, which can be installed on a Kubernetes cluster and supports high availability and fault tolerance. All right, let's just start the demo then. Okay, so I have my project created over here in GitLab. I have created index.js file, a GitLab CI YAML file, which is our pipeline as a code, and a package.json, which was generated as part of our local npm initialization. Let's see what's there in these files. So I'll open the files in my editor. So let's just see first index.js. This is just a sample hello world sort of JavaScript where we have initialized that it will require Express npm module. It will run on port 3000 and it will just print hello world to the web page. and it'll log this message in the logs. Okay, and then we have a GitLab dot. Then we have package.json. This was created when we initialized the npm module, and so it has two scripts: a test and start. Test script will just have a echo statement, and then it will just exit with a success message. And then let's see our GitLab CI, which is our important one. So it has three stages. So this is the same pipeline that we have used earlier in this demo. It just I have added a lot more details to it so that we could test the complete end-to-end CI/CD with the Hello World application. Okay. It has those three stages: build, test, and deploy. And we have used cache over here with the path as node module. So cache is it can be initialized globally with this key value pair. So we use key and the value as a CI commit ref slug, which would make this cache available throughout the pipeline in all the stages and all the jobs throughout the project. Okay, so that we don't have to download or upload node modules over and over again, as it will have so many files and it will definitely hit the performance of your pipeline. First job is build job, which would be running inside a build stage. It will use the image as Node.js with the latest tag, and it's part of a shared runner. So we have specified runner over here. So it will run, this particular job will run where runner's tag is Docker, which is a shared runner, and it will use the image as Node latest, so that we don't have to install Node.js on top of the image that we are using. Then these are the scripts that will run inside this particular job. It will echo this one. Then it will do a git clone on from a git repository on the develop branch. It will go inside the project and it will do an npm install express module, and then it will go back a directory. It will do an apt-get update, and then it will install the zip utility for us. Then once that is being done, once the code is being cloned and npm is installed, then it will zip the entire folder with exception to these two modules, because node modules we are using it as a cache, so we don't have to download it or upload it as part of build. It will be available throughout the project to use. And .git would have certain git configuration, head details, all those things, git logs, all those things that we wouldn't want as part of our build. So we have excluded these two folders with -x. And so after this step, a zip would be created with this particular name. Okay. And it will be stored in the pipeline as an artifact, because we have specified it over here. Use this as an artifact, and path is the home directory of the runner. So whichever runner we are running as part of this particular pipeline, in the home directory, these artifacts would be available to use. Okay. And so this we have seen, like this particular job will be running on a shared runner with tag as Docker. And this will only trigger when a change has been made to the develop branch. It doesn't matter like what sort of change you are doing, whether the change is in the code or within the pipeline itself. This stage will trigger, this job will also be triggered on this particular develop branch. Then these two stages are same like what we have seen earlier, so I'm not gonna go over this again. Unit test and lint test job. This is just I have kept it there to show you how different jobs would run in parallel in a particular stage. Okay. Then this is kind of an important one, which is deploy dev job. This is part of stage deploy, and it will run in my private runner, which is my GitLab runner that we are gonna see how we're gonna install it. First step is, because we would want our use cases, we would want our artifacts to be transferred from our GitLab runner to our EC2 server, right? So we have to set up a SSH connection between GitLab, from GitLab to EC2 server. So we'll first see if a SSH agent is present on the runner or not. If not, it will do an apt-get update and install the OpenSSH client. Okay. Then it will create a .ssh directory in the user's home directory. It will start the agent, SSH agent on the GitLab runner. Then it will echo the private SSH key and add it to the SSH keygen utility. Right. So this particular variable we have used from the CI/CD settings only. So we'll go back over here. We go to settings, and then we go to CI/CD. So we created a variable over here. If we expand variables field, so we have created a private SSH key variable over here. This value is the value of our private SSH key that we use to log into our EC2 server. So this is like .ppk file. Okay. Make sure you used the value of .ppk file, not the .pem file. Okay. And then we're gonna add this line strict host key checking as no, so that it won't prompt you to add the key in the verified host. So we add this to the SSH config, and then we also add the dev server's public IP to SSH known host. Again, for dev server, this is the public IP of the EC2 server, of the dev EC2 server that we have created over here. Okay. And then it'll, so once the connection is established, once the SSH setting is done, now we have a passwordless connection from our GitLab runner to our EC2 server. Then we transfer the files. Then we transfer the artifact from our GitLab runner to the EC2 server. So remember, we have used this my project.zip as an artifact in the first stage, in the first build stage. So it is available in the runner's home directory. So we could just use scp-r current directory and the name of the artifact. And then the destination would be Ubuntu is the destination username, and @dev server, which is the public IP of our dev EC2 server. And this is the destination directory. Okay, after this step, artifact would be transferred to the EC2 server. Now we have to deploy that artifacts. So we'll do a SSH to the dev server, Ubuntu @dev server, and we'll be running all those scripts as part of the deployment. So we'll first have to do the unzip of that particular package. Okay, and we have to make sure that zip utility is available in that EC2 server. Okay. So we'll unzip it, and then we'll go to that particular package directory, and we'll do an npm install express --save. We don't have to, we did not transfer the node modules to that particular directory because we have used it as a cache. So it will be available by default. And then we use forever stop index.js to stop the already existing running application if it's already been running. So forever, as we have discussed earlier as well, forever is a npm utility that we have used to run the process in the background. Okay. Otherwise, if you would have run npm build or npm start, it runs interactively and it run in the as a foreground process. Okay. So we'll stop already existing index.js if it's there, and if it's not there, it won't throw you the error because we have used pipe true. Okay, it'll suppress that error for us, and then it'll start the new application. So this is all like what we have to do as part of deployment. Okay, so even because this is just a Node.js project, we don't have to use the build. We could just do a git clone and npm install in all the servers. It just like, because I have to show you the difference between cache and artifacts and how we can use that in an actual project. So that's why we are using it like that. Okay. Then it'll run this process in my runner, which is my private GitLab runner. Okay. And it'll trigger only on the develop branch. Okay. That's it. So I'll just save this. Now, as part of next step, we'll be creating two EC2 servers, one for GitLab runner and one for our actual dev server. And we're gonna do some installations on top of that. So let's just head over to our AWS console and create two EC2 servers. So I'll go back over here, okay, and I'll click on launch instances, and then I'll select a free tier Ubuntu server from here. I'll select T2 micro, and then I would need just one of those, so I'll keep it one, and rest of the settings as default. Over here we'll be adding some user script because we would want some installables to be run once the server is booted up. So I'll just add this user script section over there. So let's just quickly see what it is. So this is like a bash script which would just install the runner, the GitLab runner. This is for Git. First, we are doing it for the GitLab runner. So this will install a GitLab runner. Then it will install the Node.js, and it will also install a npm forever package that we have used inside the pipeline. Then on top of that, install Docker, and it will provide permission to the Docker PID and Docker soak, so that it will be we can run it with the Ubuntu user without using a sudo command. Okay, so I'll just copy the script from here and I'll paste it in the user data section over here. Okay, we'll verify if everything's good, and yeah, it looks good. I don't need this one, so I'll just remove this one. Okay, I'll click on next, add storage. I'll keep the default storage, and we'll add tag. I'll give it a name. So name would be GitLab runner. So I'll do a GitLab runner. Okay, and we'll add a security group. So I'll create a new one. It says GitLab SSH group. Okay, so we would want to do SSH in that server. So I'll just keep the SSH port open. So generally you would restrict it to your IP or a CIDR range behind your corporate network. But because I'm gonna just decommission these servers after this demo, so I'll just keep it open for everything. So it will open the inbound and outbound rule for SSH to this particular server, which is what we wanted. Click on review and launch, and then I'll use a key pair. I'll use this one, knowledge, and I click on launch instances. Okay, while this is being provisioned, I'll create one more instance for our dev server. So I'll click on launch instances again, and then we have Ubuntu image. I'll select it from here. T2 micro, this should be good. Configure instance details. Okay, rest of the settings would be same. And for user script data section, so we don't want all the steps to be performed over here because we don't want GitLab runner over here. So we would just want to install Node.js package, and that should be enough for to act as an EC2 server. So I'll just copy this one from here, or maybe I'll just copy and paste it over here, and then I'll remove the steps for GitLab runner. Okay, and then I would also want to install our zip utility. So I'll do a sudo apt-get update -y, and after this I'll do sudo apt-get install zip -y. Should be good. Then I'll click on next, add storage. I'll use the default storage. I'll give it a name my first, or I'll give it dev server. Configure security groups. Now I'll create a new security group, dev server. Okay, so I would want to do SSH in that group, so I'll keep this one open, and then I would want our GitLab server to do SSH in that. So we have this open for everything, so this should be enough. But You could specify your IP of your GitLab runner over here and your private IP. I mean your personal IP from where you are logged in. Then I would want this particular server to serve the web pages over HTTP and HTTPS. So I'll open those ports as well, HTTPS and HTTP over here. Then our forever utility or our Node.js package will be served on port 3000. So I'll open a custom port as well. Okay, and that should be good. Now I'll click on review and launch. Oop, I haven't specified the name yet, so I'll do anywhere. Then review and launch, and I'll use the key pair, launch instances, and that should be good. Now that our GitLab runner EC2 server is up and running, so I'll just open SSH connection with that server. So I'll click on connect and I'll use the username as Ubuntu. I'll use this one. Okay, I'm logged in. So let's see if the user data script executed successfully. Let's see if a Docker was installed. So I'll do a docker -v and it shows me the Docker version. That means it's been installed. Let's see if our GitLab runner was installed. So I see the help commands over here. So this has also been installed. And let's see if our npm installed. And yeah, it's already there. So we have all our packages installed correctly, which is what is expected out of a user scripts. So let's just go ahead and register this runner. So I'll do a sudo GitLab runner register. Okay, it says enter the GitLab instance URL. So I'm using a public GitLab instance. So for me, it will be the same https gitlab.com. Enter the registration token. So registration token you will see in the GitLab. So you go back to your CI/CD settings, okay, and you expand the runner. You'll see available specific runner over here. This is my runner that's already been running. So I'll stop this one first. Okay, and so it will show me the setup instructions of registering a new runner. So it says install GitLab runner and it shows it's running. So this step we have already done as part of user data script. Then it says register the runner with this URL. This URL we have already pasted it over there. And then it says the registration token. So I'll copy this registration token from here. And I'll go back to my EC2 server. I'll paste the registration token over here. Okay, I'll hit enter. Then it says enter a runner description for runner. I'll just say my runner. Enter tags. So this tag, what we'll be using in our GitLab CI pipeline. So I'll give it the same name as we have specified in our GitLab pipeline, which is my runner. Hit enter. And then it says registered runner. Now we have to choose an executor. So because we have installed a Docker on top of our GitLab runner machine, and the best way to use it is the Docker executor. So I'll just give it Docker. So these are all the available executors that you could use. So I'll be running as part of our Docker runner. So I'll hit enter. Enter the default Docker image. So I'll choose Node latest. Okay. And it says runner registered successfully. Now we have to start it. But before starting it, we also have to create this directory over here, else it will fail. So I'll just create this directory where lib gitlab runner. It says permission denied. I'll use the sudo command with it. Okay. Now I'll run GitLab runner start. It says not supported for non-root users. So I'll use a sudo command with it as well. And it's showing me the runtime platform. It might have been start. Let's go back to our CI/CD and refresh the page. And we see it's running over here. The status is green. It says runner is online. Last contact was 1 minute ago. And this is an ID generated for the runner. This is our runner stack. So our runner has been installed successfully and registered successfully with one of the GitLab servers. So now let's go back over here. Now let's log into our dev server. I'll click on connect, open the session, and I would just wanted to verify whether our user scripts ran successfully. So remember, we installed a zip utility. Let's see if it's been installed. It says zip not found, that means it's not been installed. There might be some issues with the user script. So what I'll do is I'll do a sudo apt-get update -y. It's done, and then I'll do a sudo apt-get install zip -y. And now it will install my zip utility. It's good that we have checked in the beginning, else our pipeline would have failed and we had to do this all over again. So now it's been installed. Let's clear this. Okay, so we have verified this as well. Now let's go and see the next steps. Now that we have done all the prerequisites, let's just do one more thing. Let's just go back to our instances, go to dev server. I'll grab the public IP v4 address from here, and I'll go to my CD settings, CI CD settings, and then I'll expand the variables, which is over here, and I'll just update the dev server variable over here because this was the IP that I used earlier, and now I have a new dev server, so I just have to update the IP over here. Do that and click on update variable. So we have our private SSH key. Just make sure you are using the PPK key of your EC2 server, not the PEM key or any other key. It's a PPK private key that you use to log in your EC2 dev server. Okay. And then this is the public IP of your dev server. So these were all the variables that we have used inside our GitLab CI pipeline. I guess this should be good. So now just let's do a save, stage the changes, stage all. I'll just give it a commit ID, starting the pipeline. I'll commit it to the develop branch. So this is my local develop branch, and I'll push it to the remote develop branch, which would be from here. And as soon as the changes are pushed to the remote develop branch, it would have triggered the pipeline automatically. So let's go and see if it did. So I'll go to CI/CD pipelines over here. Kick the pipeline for us. So I'll click on the running, and these are all the stages that are part of pipeline. So first is our build job, which is in progress. So I'll click on that. It will show us a real-time log of that. So because we have used a Docker based shared runner, so that's why it's preparing it, and it's running GitLab runner on that with the image as node latest. So I'm not gonna pause the video for this because I want you to see it in real time. So we'll just give it a few seconds because it's shared runner, so it will take some time. Okay, so that's what it's been doing. So all the commands ran successfully, job is succeeded. Let's quickly verify if there are any errors. So it says evaluating this, which was for cache. Then it initialized a Git repository. It created the cache. It downloaded the cache. Okay. Then it compiled the code, and then it cloned the first project. It cloned the repository with git clone command. Did an apt-get update. Installed the zip utility, and then it ran the zip command successfully. It created a zip with all these files. Then it uploaded the cache to a temporary location to be used anywhere else in the pipeline. And then it says uploading artifacts, which is our build. Let's go and see the other jobs. So I'll click on pipeline again. And so our test cases has also been passed. Let's go to the deploy stage, which is in running. And now it says it's running on my runner with this ID. So this is the runner that we have created on our EC2 server. Okay, it's using the Docker executor with image and node latest. We could have not used the image as well in this because we have explicitly installed node on our GitLab runner. So if we go back over here, Oh, I don't see I have used the image over here, but somehow it took the image because that might be the default image that it had used. So it's fine for now. So meanwhile, this is in progress. Let's go ahead and see the other test jobs. Oh, it's been passed successfully. So it might not have been refreshed. Okay. So let's see. So it says running on this runner, which is our private runner. Then it says checking cache for develop one. Instead, a local cache will be extracted. It downloaded the artifact. It downloaded the cache. Okay, and that's been done. It ran all the commands successfully. It said identity added, and then it scp the file, the artifact from the GitLab runner to the dev server successfully. I don't see any error with that. Then it did the SSH to the dev server and run all the commands. So cd first project, and then it did an npm install. I just see warnings over here, but I don't see any actual error. So it had installed the npm express package as well. And then because we have used forever stop index.js, and there was no index.js already running, that's why it threw the error. But then we have used the true command with it. It showed us the error, but it did not fail the pipeline. And then we did a forever start on index.js, so it was successfully, and then the cache created, job succeeded. So let's see if pipeline did the actual deployment. So if everything worked fine, then we should have with that web page up and running. So I'll copy the public IPv4 DNS from here, paste it in the browser with the port 3000 because this is where we are hosting it on, and I see my application is there. This is what we wanted to do. Okay, so it worked perfectly for us. It worked as expected. Now let's go back to our pipeline. I want you to see a few more things in that. So if we see the pipeline, the status is passed. All the stages have been passed successfully. It took total of 2 minutes. It triggered on the develop branch with this particular commit ID. And then if we click on these three dots over here, it will give you the artifacts to download. Because I said like there's a difference between cache and artifacts. Cache cannot be downloaded externally, or it will just be access from the pipeline, and you cannot do anything else with that. But artifacts can be shared, it can be downloaded, it can be shared between multiple projects as well. So you could just click on that and download artifacts, and it will download that zip folder for you. Okay, so we see all the stages that has been passed successfully. All the jobs have been passed. You can see the time minutes for each and everything. Okay, so in this section of the video, we'll see the difference between script, before script and after script, and how we can use it effectively inside a GitLab CI pipeline. Okay, so we'll start with the before script. So before script can be, before or after scripts can be global to the pipeline. Let's say we define it over here with this syntax before script, and then we provide echo statement. This is before script. Okay, and then we have after script. We can define this here as well globally. Okay, so what it will do is when the pipeline triggers, when it starts, it will see what's there in the global before script, and it will run this command before the starting of every job where the before script is not defined. So right now we don't have any before script section in this pipeline, so it will run this command before every build job. But let's say we put this statement inside a particular job, let's say this one over here, and we call it this is build job. Okay, so now that we have initialized this inside a build job, so this before script will override the existing one. Okay, and the rest of the jobs will still run this before script. Okay, so this will run before the job, this will run before every job. Okay, and this will have the higher precedence. So I'll just remove these two, and as the name suggests, before script which run before the actual script, and after a script which run after the actual script. So I'll remove these two. Okay, so I'll just keep this before script over here, and maybe I'll use this statement. Okay, I'll remove this one. And same way, I'll use this statement as after script. Okay, this should be good. Now let's go to the script. So script is like we can define all the commands in sequence like this as an array, or we could do simply we could put just a pipe and everything will be part of one single script. So what we'll do is, to make the code more readable, for the sake of simplicity and easy to maintain the pipeline code, we'll just copy everything inside the main script and create one more file inside our project's root directory. So I'll just go over here, I create a new file, we'll call it build script .sh. Okay, and then I'll just start a new shell script over here, and I'll put everything over here. I'll just remove these because now it's a shell script. Everything looks good. And then so I'll just, instead of using all the statements over here, I'll delete this one, and I'll just call bash build underscore script.sh. So instead of specifying all the commands over here, we could just wrap all the commands inside a shell script, put it in the project's home directory, and then we could just execute it with the bash command over here. Okay, so this should be good. So the same way, I'll keep these ones as default for the same with the same way. I'll just go over here. I'll create a before script over here. Okay, and I'll put all these commands like which are like pre-deployment steps to here. Okay, I'll just cut it and I'll paste it inside the before script section, because these won't be like, we won't be changing it much often. So let's just keep it over there, and whatever we have inside the script section, let's just copy it and create one more script. Just cut it, and at the project root directory, I'll create a new file and I'll call it dot deploy underscore script .sh. I'll just start a new shell script in bash and I'll paste it over here. Then I'll remove these hyphens, and like all the variables will be imported automatically. You don't have to do anything about that. Just save this one as well. And over here, I'll just mention bash space dot deploy underscore script.sh. Okay, and I'll remove this extra lines. Okay, this should be good. Now it's looking much cleaner. It's easy to maintain now. And let's just save it. Just click save. So now I'm gonna stage these three files. Let's click on stage all. Okay, I'll just put a comment over here. Added script, after script, and before script. Okay, I'll just commit and I'll push the changes to the remote develop branch. So once this is done, as expected, our build should be auto triggered. Let's go and check. Okay, so our project was my first project, this one. And I'll go to CI/CD pipelines, and it triggered our pipeline. So let's go and check what's going on over there. So it's currently at the build job. Okay, it's spinning up the Docker container for our build job, because we have used a shared runner for this. So it's gonna take a few seconds. And like earlier as well, I'm not gonna pause this video because I want you to see everything in real time. So let's just wait for a few seconds, and it'll pop up some results shortly. I'll just hit refresh. Okay, so it triggered everything, and let's read the logs. So first it ran the before script, which was, echo compiling the code, which is good. And then it executed the bash script, which is build script, and it executed all the steps. And it ran after script, which says compile completed, and everything is green, everything looks good. I don't see any error over here. Let's go back to the pipeline. Okay, these two are still running in parallel. We haven't made any changes to these two, but let's just have a look. So no errors so far. Test okay. And let's go back. Let's go to, okay, so this one would be okay. It's succeeded as well. So it might not be refreshed by now. So let's see. Okay. So now this one is running on our private runner, and it says job completed. Let's see what it did. So it prepared the environment, it initialized the Git repository, then it ran our pre-script, which was this up to here. Okay, and everything is green, everything is successful. I don't see any error. Then it ran our bash deploy script, which was our main script. It did everything that was expected out of it. It stopped a process because there was an already running process, and then it started it, and it was started successfully. Then it says job succeeded, and this is done. This is all good. So now we can, okay, so this somehow, because our pipe, okay, now it's showing as green. This is how we could use after script, before script, and main script. I hope this would be clear by now. Let's jump to another section. Let's now go through the git flow that we'll be following in the upcoming section. Let's say we have 3 branches: a develop branch, a stage branch, and a main branch. A new branch gets created from the develop branch. Let's call it bug 101, and it gets merged into the develop branch with the help of merge request. Once it is get reviewed and approved, a build get triggered, test cases get executed, and the deployment to the dev environments get triggered. Then a new merge request is being created to merge the same into the stage branch. Once it is reviewed and approved, the deployment to stage environment get triggers. Then a new merge request gets created to merge the same into the main branch. Once it is approved and reviewed, deployment to the production environment gets triggered, and this completes our Git flow. Alright, so now that we have seen the Git flow that we'll be using for this demo, I hope you already know the importance of merge request or pull request, and how effective and how important it is to use it in an organization which is following CI/CD practices using DevOps. So let's go ahead and see it in real time. Okay, so what we'll do is, as part of that, we'll create a new branch. So we already have a develop branch and a main branch. So we'll go ahead and create a new branch, which is, let's call it bug 101. So I'll click over here, I'll click on new branch. So bug 101, and this would be our local branch, and it will push to the remote branch. So I have created it, and let's add some changes to this branch so that we could create a merge request. So I'll just add after script over here, and I'll call it echo bug 101 branch test. That's it, and I'll save it. Then I'll stage the changes. I'll commit, created the branch. Okay, I'll commit the changes, and then I'll push it to the remote branch. Okay, it says publishing. Okay, so now wouldn't have triggered the build because we haven't specified any trigger condition with the name bug 101. Okay, so it will be triggered in the development environment only when the changes are merged into the develop branch. So let's go over here and let's see if this is correct. So yeah, I don't see anything triggered as of now. So let's go over here and let's see if the changes have been pushed. So now I can see three branches over here: main, develop, and bug 101. So let's go ahead and create a merge request. So I'll click over here, call it bug 101, but it's fine for now. So just verify these things. So it says new merge request from bug 101 to main. So I don't want that. I want bug 101 merged into develop branch. So I'll click on change branches from here. So this is my source branch over here and my target branch should be develop. So I'll click over here. Should be good. I'll compare branches and continue. Okay. And now it changed the title to create the branch. It's fine by me. Okay. And then I'll assign it to myself so that I could just approve it. And it says delete source branch when the merge request is accepted, because this was just a feature branch, a short-lived feature branch that we have created. So I want it to be gone once it is merged into the develop branch. So let's keep it marked and I'll create merge request. So I have created the merge request, and now because I'm the approver, I could just merge it, and I can delete the source branch. So let's do that as well. I'll put a comment over here: approved, merge. Okay, it says merged, and source branch has been deleted as well. And let's see if it would have triggered anything as of now. So I'll go to CI/CD. It triggered the build for us. Let's go over here. Okay, so I'll pause the video for a few minutes over here and then we'll come back. So I've waited for a couple of minutes and I can see the job is completed now, and all the stages have been passed successfully. So I'll click on this one because this is where we made our changes, and we'll go down and see. So this was the echo statement that we have added, bug 101 branch test. So this is working fine. We are all good with this. So now let's go ahead and take it one step ahead and deploy this into a staging environment. But for that we would need a staging environment. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll clone the existing dev environment, and so that it will have all the required prerequisites installed already, and we'll name it as a stage environment. So what I'll do is I'll go over here, I'll hit refresh. So this is my SSH console for my dev environment. Okay, so because it just deployed this project over here, and if we go over here we see all the code as well as node module which was downloaded from the cache. So everything is here. So I'll just clean that up so that it won't fail during the next deployment. I'll delete these two. Okay, I'll clear it, and then I'll go back to my EC2 console and I'll create a server from this instance. So I'll click on actions and images, and I'll say launch more instances like this. Click over here. Okay, so everything is same. It's HTTP port is open, SSH port is open, port 3000 is open. This is good. Okay, everything's good. So I'll create one tag over here. I'll just rename this tag. So I don't see any option to edit. Maybe we could edit it later on once it is provisioned. So it's fine. Click on launch. I'll use this keep here, acknowledged. Launch view instances. Okay, so it's getting provisioned. It will take a few seconds. We'll do the prerequisites before that. So meanwhile it's getting provisioned. I'll just remove this one. Okay, so this one is a new because it's in pending state. So I'll just rename it. I'll just call it stage, or yeah, stage is fine. Okay, and I'll pick the public IP from here because we have to create a new variable in our GitLab pipeline. So I'll go to settings, CI/CD. I'll open this in a new tab, variables. So private SSH key, we have used the same one, so we don't have to do anything for this. But I'll create a new variable. Let's call it stage server. This would be the public IP, the one that we have just copied. And I'll click on add variable. Now we have to add this in our pipeline as well. So let's go to the pipeline. Yeah, it was there in the deploy script. What we'll do is we'll override the variables now because we are using two variables. Because, okay, before that, I'll just copy this and I'll create a new stage. And I'll call it deploy stage job. This stage is okay, deploy stage. And I'll create one more stage over here as well. Deploy stage. Okay, then I'll go down. Okay, deploy stage, my runner. This before script is good except for the fact that it should have stage server. And private SSH key is fine. Yeah, this should be good. But we need to make sure that in deploy script, we are using SSH server as the stage server, not the dev server. So I'll in this stage, I'll create one variable over here. And I'll call it server. And I'll give this a name, stage server. So remember we had the stage server set as the pipeline variable. So this would override the value from here. Server. Okay. And I'll create a similar one in the dev as well. And I'll call it dev server. Okay. So what we have done so far is we have created a new stage. We have copied, like cloned the existing dev job and created a new job for stage deployment. We have created a new variable inside the job and called it stage server. The variable name is server and the value is stage server, so which is the pipeline variable. And we are just overriding the value from here. So if it would have been the dev deployment, it would have overwritten this value. Okay, dev server, it would have replaced server with the value dev server. And for the stage, it will override the value of a server with stage server. And this value will be using in our deploy script, which is over here. So instead of dev server, it would be just the server over here and over here as well. Okay, this should be good. And let's see if we need to make any changes to the build script. We have not used any variable inside this, so this is fine. So I'll just save this one and this one. Okay, let's just first deploy this in our dev environment. We'll do the same thing. Okay, so before that, let's just update this file as well and call it hello world 2.0. Okay, because we are just deploying the new version. Everything's good. Let's just we still have a branch bug 101 because this is the local branch that we had and we deleted the remote branch only. Okay, so I'll just keep this name as same. Let's say updated version 2.0 and edit stage. Okay, before that, I'll just stage the changes and then I'll commit to bug 101. This is done, and then I'll push the changes. Okay, this is done. Now let's go back to the server. Okay, we have made the changes over here. Okay, and we have pushed the changes. So now let's go where it says invalid YAML. So we might have an issue with a YAML. Let's go back and see. Okay, so the error was probably due to I have missed like the keyword is not correct. It should be variables, and I'll also put that into double quotes so that it will resolve it. Okay, and the next one would be over here. It should be variables and double quotes. Okay, this should be good now. Let's save this one, stage the changes, and I'll call it test 101, commit to bug 101. Then I'll push the changes. Shouldn't throw any error now. Let's see. Okay, we go to pipelines. Okay, it did not throw any validation error, so we should be good. It did not trigger the pipeline because we did not merge it into the develop branch yet, so which is good. So let's just go and hit on merge request. I'll create a new merge request, and my source branch would be bug 101. My target branch would be develop. Okay, this should be good. And yeah, let's hit on changes now. I'll assign it to myself, delete source branch, create merge request. Yeah, it triggered the pipeline. Wait for a couple of minutes, and these both these stages should have been triggered. So I'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll come back. So I've waited for like few more minutes, and I see all the stages have been completed now. And so let's go and see if the latest version, if the updated version of our app has been deployed to the dev and state server. So I'll go back to my EC2 console. I'll click on dev server and I'll copy the public IPv4 DNS, and I'll append the port 3000 because this is where our forever process started, our index.js. So yep, I can see hello world 2.0. This should be good. And then we'll go back to the state server. I'll click the public IP, I'll copy it, and then I'll paste it with port 3000. And this is available over here as well. So we have completed one cycle. We have updated our code. We have deployed it into the bug 101 feature branch, merged it into develop branch, then created another merge request to deploy it into the state server. Let's quickly go ahead and see the GitLab architecture that we'll be following in the upcoming section. They have a GitLab server hosted as a SaaS offering or as an IaaS service on our cloud infrastructure. Let's say we have a developer who creates a merge request in a project repository to merge his code into the deployment branch. Approver gets notified about the merge request. He reviews it and approves it. Once it is approved, it triggers a build, a Git CI/CD pipeline, which has 3 stages: build, test, and deploy, which in turn triggers the first stage, which is build. The jobs get assigned to the GitLab runner, which is the application that runs the job. It then executes the job and publish the build artifacts to the artifacts as well as to S3 bucket. This completes our first stage, which is a build. Then it triggers the next stage, which is test. Job gets assigned to the GitLab runner, which then runs the test cases and publish the test results to the artifacts or whichever location we have specified. This completes our second stage, which is test. Then the next stage, which is deploy, gets triggered. The job gets assigned to the GitLab runner. It triggers the build. It creates a SSH connection with the application server, which is hosted on cloud or on premises. And then it executes the command remotely. by downloading artifacts and config from S3 bucket and revert back the status to GitLab runner. And this completes a deployment stage as well as the overall pipeline. The user gets notified about the status of the build. S3 bucket can also be used to upload and download artifacts like the build artifacts along with the secret and confidential data. So for that, what we'll do is, because as part of the CI/CD process, when we'll be creating a merge request to merge develop branch into the main branch so that it could trigger the stage deployment, it would not have the artifacts available because only the stage, this deployment stage, will be triggered, and there was no build stage triggered before this, right? Sorry, not this one, this one. So only this stage would be triggered, and no build deployment or build creation stage would be triggered as part of that pipeline run. So from where would this job get the artifacts from? So it has to be stored somewhere at a central build repository or at a central location from where it could get the artifacts. So what we'll do is, as part of the build process, after the build's been completed, let's say over here, build script. So earlier we were just zipping it, okay, and just using it as an artifact. So now what we'll also do is we'll just upload it to S3 bucket. So I'll upload it to the same bucket. I'll call it, so I'll use this sudo aws s3, and my artifacts would be this. Okay, and I'll copy the bucket URL. Let's see where it is. I'll copy the bucket URL from here. So I'll remove the file name. So my source file and location and my destination. So this command will upload the artifact to the S3 bucket. Okay, and when we go to the GitLab CI, so for dev deploy, it's fine if we are using the artifact, but for the stage deployment, it shouldn't be from that, but it will be downloaded from the S3 bucket. So I'll go and update the deploy script as well. So instead of SCPing from here, so let's remove this one. Okay, and before this, I'll add an AWS command, which is AWS S3 copy from this location, and I'll name the file over here, which is my first project.zip, and download it in the current directory, which is home Ubuntu. And then I'll do this, and then okay, this is the escape character so that it's like treats this as one single command even after the line break. Okay, you could just remove this and keep it everything in one line. Okay, wherever is fine by you. I'll save this one. So I've updated the deploy script. I have updated the build script to have it upload the file to the bucket, and I've updated the GitLab CI pipeline to download it. No, I haven't made any changes over here because I have made it in these two scripts. So this should be good. So I'll stage these changes again. I'll commit it to the bugs, this one, bug 101 branch, final build, upload and download. I'll commit the changes. I'll push it to bug 101. And this time let's just merge it directly to the main branch to trigger the stage deployment. So let's just go to the pipeline and let's just go to the merge request. Create a new merge request. First, the build has to be created. So select the source branch as bug 101 and the target should be develop branch. I'll compare it. I'll assign it to myself, create merge request. And then I'll merge and delete source branch, which is fine. It should trigger the deployment now. So I'll pause the video again. So I waited for some time and our build job is completed successfully. So if we click on that, we see our upload S3 command has been completed as well. So it should have uploaded the artifacts to our S3 bucket. But there was one issues with that. I had to do some minor updates because you see we are running this GitLab runner as on a Docker container. So we cannot attach an S3 role to the container. So I had to add the variables to the CI/CD settings. So I had to add AWS access key ID, default region, and secret access key, so that it can authenticate to S3 bucket and to upload the objects. Right. So that was I did that behind the scenes. Okay, now I can see it's been completed successfully. Let's see if it deployed the latest code to dev server. So I'll copy the public DNS, go to port 3000, and it uploaded the latest version. Let's see it up if it uploaded the artifacts as well. So I'll go to this bucket again and I'll hit refresh. I see my first project.zip over here as well. So which is what we were expecting. So as part of the final step of this demo, so let's just create the last merge request to merge it into the main branch so that the stage deployment should be triggered. So I'll click on new merge request, select the source branch as develop, target should be main, click on compare. This time I would not be deleting the source branch, create a merge request and I'll approve it. It should have triggered the pipeline. It says this pipeline. So no, not this one. Okay. So it says deployment stage, and I guess it's been completed. So all the steps, it downloaded the file and it did the deployment. I don't see any error. Let's see if it did the deployment successfully. I'll copy the stage server URL from here, open it in a new tab, port 3000. I'll see the hello world 3.0. So finally, we were able to achieve, CI/CD using GitLab end to end, and we covered a lot of topic that we could have covered in such a short time. So I hope you would have learned something out of this lesson, and you have enjoyed it. So if you did, I would request you to comment on the section below and provide your feedback. Let me know if you are facing any issues or any challenges while learning this section, and if you are facing any errors as well, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Keep watching our videos. Please subscribe the channel if you haven't done so. Thank you very much.